Schedule release time. Let's get it. We talking Benedictine Cadets made the state championship last year. Had Creekside on the ropes at halftime. Couldn't quite pull it out, man, but we know what they did. We know under Danny Britt, this team is always well coached. Always a really good team that you got to keep an eye out for. They ain't no slouch. They're always well coached and a pretty damn good program. Now, this year looks a little bit different for them. They were placing a lot of talent. One of their prize transfers last year was LaDamian Guyton. Remember, he reclassed to the 2026 class, and he's obviously now at Texas Tech. They're also going to lose their quarterback in Stephen Cannon, who also leaves, and I believe joins Texas Tech too, if I'm not mistaken. Then they lose Bubba Frazier, who's going now to Notre Dame. So they're going to be losing a lot of talent, man, and they got to replace, obviously, a good chunk of it. Now, a couple of names to know is Aaron Mallard, their receiver. He had a really good season last year, was slept on, but did a lot of good things. And the next one to know is Stanley Smart, their running back. Had a pretty stellar season last year, over 1,000 yards rushing. Those are going to be two names to know. Now, as far as quarterback, how do they replace, obviously, Stephen Cannon? Now, a few years ago, they've always had pretty good talent. Luke Cromenhawk was there a few years ago. They always had good running backs. This is a pretty good team and well coached. So now we got to see what's up next for them. But those are going to be some players to watch. Now, to start the season, they're not playing around. And I love this schedule because he really built it out, especially the non-region schedule at a high level. Because the region is not all that. Start with Toombs County, who's 13-2 last year, made the state championship before losing to Worth County. Now, Toombs has an opportunity to get right back there, right back where they're supposed to be at, right? They're going to bring back a lot of their talent. The Alice Scotts, their quarterback Joseph Owens, Nick Carroll, who had 7 INTs last year. Toombs County is going to bring back a lot. That'll be a very good matchup and a good tune-up for Benedictine out there in Savannah. Then they're going to play against Hebron Christian. Now, Hebron Christian loses a lot of their talent, right? They're going to be replacing a lot of guys. Devon Caldwell, running back, no longer there. Jarvis Martherin, no longer there. They're speedy athlete, did a little bit of everything for them on the offensive side of the ball, no longer there. Max Steve, they're really hard-hitting safety. Good exceptional ball skills. He's no longer there. Now, players to watch for Hebron Christian is Jaleel Goley. He'll be obviously a really good player. Fred Moses, who had 8 sacks, and the quarterback Jordan Green. Now, the problem with obviously Hebron Christian is they're replacing so much of their talent, and they lost their head coach. Third straight year they've lost the coach. Remember, a few years ago it was Jonathan Guest. They had won a state championship over Prince Avenue Christian. And then this past year, they had Kenny Dallas, who obviously became a full-time minister. So third straight year replacing your head coach. Does that hurt them in any kind of way after back-to-back state championships? We will see. Then you have Camden County. Camden County went 6-4 last year. We know a few years ago they had Elias Williams. He's obviously at Georgia now. But this is another team that had a tumultuous offseason in terms of obviously their head coach. Now, first, they lost Travis Nolan, who ended up leaving after a 6-5 record last year. So they moved on from him. Then they hired John Lindsay is who they hired. He went basically 2 months and then decided to resign. Now, the good thing for Camden County is they did a really good job in getting a pretty stellar head coach who was big in obviously the powerhouse Fitzgerald is down south. Tucker Pruitt, previously at Appleton County. Before that, he was obviously at Fitzgerald. He's going to be their new head coach. Now, he's the creme de la creme. It can't get no better if you're trying to get a head coach for your program. So, they got some talent, but they obviously have to lose a lot of their talent. Sean Green's going to be the player to know. Wide receiver, 3-star prospect. Got offers from pretty much everywhere. Demetrius Coleman, Daquan Edwards, and Cedric Davis will be other names to watch for next year for Camden County. So that one's a little bit of a wild card. I'm not sure how good they're going to do, to be honest with you guys, because they're replacing so much. I don't know how much that will pan out for them. But those two are interesting with so much kind of turmoil at the head coaching position at both of those programs. We will see how that looks like. Then you have, obviously, Statesboro. Yeah, so Statesboro has to find a way to replace Keon Childers, who had nearly 1,400 yards rushing and 28 touchdowns last year. Now, the name to know there is Beckham Gerard. Obviously did a really good job throwing the football last year. He returns. And obviously Davis Harrison. Now, those will be a couple of names to obviously know next year for Statesboro. Then you have ARC, which is basically Richard Academy out there in Augusta. 6-5, I think they went last year. Lothan McBride and Michael Smith will be a couple of names to know there. Both accounted for nearly 1,400 yards of offense last year together. So those will be some names to know. Obviously, they already had a pretty good year. Lost to Stevenson in the postseason. Then you have Evans. Evans is a team that's been struggling still in that rebuild mode. They went 3-7 last year. A couple of names to know. Christian Scott at receiver and James Kendrick on defense was their leading tackler a year ago. Now, Jenkins was a pleasant surprise last year, obviously, in their classification in 3A. They ended up beating an upset in Peach County. They went 11-2 last year. Pretty damn good team. They're going to be replacing a lot of their talent, though. No Dominic Johnson, no Ryan Scott. So obviously got to replace that with Jalen Elliott. We'll see how good they will be next year. A little bit of a surprise is Wayne County. Wayne County a few years ago was a really, really good football team. They went 1-10 last year. Really struggled mightily. Another team, homecoming game at home. You know what that usually means. If they schedule you for homecoming, they usually expect to beat you. I don't know where Wayne County goes. The name to watch next year, if he is still there, is Tyrese Wright. We'll see what he's able to do, man. But obviously a team that's in full rebuild mode with Wayne County. Then you have Groves. Groves didn't win a game last year. They went 0-10. Taft James will be one to watch there. 663 yards rushing the past season. Did his thing with Groves, but obviously a team in full rebuild mode. Then last but not least, you got Ware County. Pretty good program. Always has been. 9-3. Won a state championship a few years ago, but went 9-3 last year with Tayshawn Franklin. He graduates. Really good running back for them. But they replaced so much. No Jamario Rice. No Jameer Boyd. How will they obviously rebound with some of that talent they have to replace? Jolandi O'Hara and Latarian Hayes are going to be some names to watch there for Ware County. So, when I look at this schedule, how good can they do? I feel like Toombs County will probably be the toughest matchup on this schedule for them. I think they should be able to handle business against Hebron Christian and Camden County. Statesboro might be a little bit challenging as well. Then they play Ark. Ark obviously had a pretty good year last year, but a very winnable game. So is Evans. Jenkins may be a tough region matchup for them. We'll see, but they're replacing a lot of talent. Wayne County and Groves are instant wins to me, and then Ware County at the end of the season is probably the toughest. I think easily they can go 10-0 or even 9-1 in this schedule potentially. All these games to me are pretty winnable. Yes, they challenge themselves with a Toombs County. That could be their one loss next year, their one potential loss. I think they can handle business against Camden County and Hebron humbly. Statesboro as well. I know that'll be a tough game in them and obviously Ware County, but it's a very winnable schedule for them. I think he scheduled it tough. I think the head coach, Danny Britt, did what he's supposed to do. I think I have Benedictine going 10-0 in my opinion, 9-1 at worst. I think they would be a team that would be right back there in contention in playoff mode. I know they have to replace a lot, but looking at this schedule, they should be able to handle business.